Welcome to One True Champion, the show that brings you the hot topics from around the league. Alongside Wendell Barnhouse, I'm Kristen. Let's dive into Big 12 country. Week 1 of college football is in the books. Charlie Strong and the Texas Longhorns had a big win over North Texas, 38-7. But this weekend, when they host BYU, they'll be without two key starters. Wendell, what's the injury report saying about the Longhorns?
Well, you really can't imagine worse injury news for Texas. Quarterback David Ash will not play against BYU. He suffered a couple hits to the helmet. He'd had concussion issues last year. He was fine after the game, but he called trainers later Saturday night, said he had dizziness and headaches. So they're not playing him in this game. Also, the other injury news is Dom Espinoza, their veteran senior center, is out after ankle surgery. He had made 40 starts. He was the leader of a very inexperienced offensive line. The other starters on that line have only made 14 career starts.
Another injury this weekend came out of the SMU Baylor game. Quarterback Bryce Petty came out the gate looking phenomenal, but took a hard hit and fractured 2 bones in his spine. Now, Baylor released a statement saying that he's day-to-day, but Wendell, anytime I hear the word fracture, I gotta think you should sit out at least a couple of weeks. They host Northwestern State, then go to Buffalo before having a bye week. Why not just rest those 3 weeks before getting conference play underway?
Great plan, Coach. I think that's what they need to do. Now, considering how well Baylor's defense played against SMU, I think they should be able to get through these next 2 games. Seth Russell, sophomore quarterback, the backup, he played the second half against SMU, and I think a healthy Petty in October and November is a lot better than a banged-up Petty in September.
I agree. All right, Insider, the best of the rest. Who caught your eye this weekend?
Well, you get a look at Oklahoma and their running backs. This is the first time that Bob Stoops has not had a junior or senior running back on his roster. So he had sophomores Keith Ford and Alex Ross and freshman Samaje Perine combined for 33 carries and 164 yards and 5 touchdowns. Now, Perine led the way with 77 yards on 13 carries. And even though this program has produced running backs like Adrian Peterson, Billy Sims, Joe Washington, Greg Pruitt, well, Perine sounds pretty confident in his running back buddies.
He's definitely confident. Perine had this to say after the game. I think we are one of the strongest, if not the strongest, running back groups that's ever come through Oklahoma. The Sooner backs ran very well this weekend, but they weren't the only ones in the Big 12. Hashtag Big 12 Speed was trending on Twitter this weekend. Wendell, which players impressed you with their legs?
Well, first of all, Big 12 preseason newcomer of the year, Tyreek Hill from Oklahoma State. He ran away from some pretty fast guys on the Florida State team. He had 278 yards in total offense against Florida State in that loss. Also, Colby Listenby, a wide receiver for TCU, had a 38-yard touchdown catch. He's a track guy. Gary Patterson thinks he's one of the fastest guys in the Big 12. And Mario Alford from West Virginia, he ran through the Alabama coverage team for a 100-yard kickoff. He's pretty fast, too.
Alford will take it all the way. Touchdown, Mountaineers.
Stepping away from football for a minute, soccer and volleyball got their seasons underway this weekend. How is the league looking there?
Well, you know, it was a tough weekend in volleyball for Iowa State. They went up against 2 ranked teams, number 3 Stanford, number 13 Florida State. They got swept in both those matches. Now, Oklahoma lost to number 10 Florida, but that went 5 sets. And in soccer, Oklahoma knocked off number 6 Florida, while Texas Tech won 2 matches, including a victory at number 11 Notre Dame. They're 3-0, and they're number 10 in the national rankings. And congrats and a shout out to Kansas coach Mark Francis, the 200th victory of his career.
Before we wrap things up, here is the stat of the week. Since 2005, only 23 teams have lost in Week 1 and finished in the AP Top 25. Wendell, what does that mean for the Big 12 after having 3 teams lose in Week 1?
Well, it was the first time, Kristen, that the Big 12 had ever played the top 2 ranked teams in the country on the same day. Oklahoma State picked to finish 5th in the Big 12. West Virginia picked to finish 8th. Those teams both pushed Florida State and Alabama right to the brink in those games. I think that shows that it's going to be a really balanced league race as far as the conference is concerned. And I wouldn't be surprised if Oklahoma State and West Virginia might end up in the final rankings at the end of the season.
Well, we hope they are one of those statistics. Thanks for joining us, Wendell. We're out of time for today, but keep an eye out for our Big 12 football preview coming out on Thursday, and we'll see you right here in 1 week for another update of One True Champion.